We now know that variables are changing values. In programming, a variable is the name given to a memory in which these changing values are stored. In this video, we are going to create some awesome projects using variables in Scratch.
This is the dancing ballerina project that we created earlier. Do you remember? Now, we are going to control the speed of the dance by using these fast and slow buttons. Let me show you a sample. I click on the play button. That's her normal speed. Let me first click on the play button and then click on fast. She goes really fast. If I click on slow, she slows down her moves. Are you ready to try out this project? We are going to program this project using this algorithm. In order to change the speed of the ballerina's dancing, we have to change the wait time between every costume change. Right now, it is 0.25 seconds. If we change this to 1 second, the ballerina will dance slower. Do you want to see? So now I have changed all my wait time to 1 second. You can play and check. Did you see that? She danced slower than usual. To make her dance fast, we need to change all the 1 second back to 0.25 seconds. So now we know that the wait time is a changing value. Changing values can be stored in variables. So let us create a variable to store this changing wait time. To create a variable, go to the variable section, click on make a variable. I'm going to call this variable as wait time. And this variable is going to be for all sprites. That is, all the sprites in our program will be able to see and use this variable. Click on OK. You will see the variable and the value of the variable over here. By default, all variables that are created will have the value 0. When the flag is clicked, let us make this variable to have the normal speed. That is, the wait time should be 0.5 to have a normal speed. Go to variables again, take the set instruction, change the my variable to wait time. So set wait time to 0.5. Now we have set our variable to a value. Next, it's time to use this variable. Can you guess where we need to use this variable? Well, we need to use the variable wherever we have used 1 second. So instead of 1 second, we need 0.5 seconds for normal speed, and this 0.5 second is there in the variable wait time. Just drag the wait time variable and replace all 1 seconds with wait time seconds. Shall we test till here? We can play. She danced with normal speed. To make her dance faster, I just need to change the wait time in one place over here. Because my variable wait time holds the value. So I need to change it over here in order to replace in all the instructions where I have used wait time. But our goal is to make the ballerina dance faster when we click on the fast button. So instead of changing it to 0.25 over here, I keep this as 0.5, her normal wait time. And then I create a new button. Place the button over here. Go to costumes. We are going to call this fast. You can change the fill color. Use the arrow mark to drag it to the center. When this button is clicked, we have to change the value in the variable to 0.25. Shall we do that? Go to events. When this sprite is clicked, go to variables, set my variable, change it to wait time, set wait time to 0.25. Same way, we have to create a slow button, and when the slow button is clicked, our sprite's wait time should be 1 second. Just click on duplicate. Change fast to slow by going to costumes. Now on the slow button, when the sprite is clicked, we have to set the wait time to 1 second. Shall we test till here? I click on play. That's her normal speed. Let me first click on the play button and then click on fast. She goes really fast. If I click on slow, she slows down her moves. That was lovely, wasn't it? Go on, try to control the speed of the ballerina by writing a program. In this project, we are going to count the number of apples that are plucked from this tree. You see a counter or a variable for the number of apples plucked. In the starting, the number of apples plucked has the value 0. To pluck an apple, you just need to touch the apple with your mouse. Let me touch one. Do you see that? The number of apples plucked goes up by 1. The same way, the number of apples plucked goes up by 1 every time you pluck an apple by touching it. Clicking on the reset button will bring all the apples back. Shall we see how to create this project? As always, create a new project in Scratch and then create your sprites. For this project, we need 1 tree sprite and 5 apple sprites. So click on choose a sprite. You can search for the tree sprite and you will find the apple sprite right in the beginning. You can just duplicate the apple sprite to get 4 more such sprites. Our tree looks very small. Let us make it bigger. Click on the tree sprite. Go to the costumes tab. To select every part of the tree, you need to hold the shift key down while you use your mouse. Select every part by holding down the shift key and using your mouse to select. Now, just drag this. If any leaf is left out, you can make that leaf bigger individually. There, our tree looks bigger now. You can place the apples in suitable positions. That's better. You can choose a good backdrop for the stage. This one. Now our stage and sprites are ready. It is now time to start coding. We are going to follow the algorithm that is being shown. We'll start with the first apple. So this apple has to disappear when we touch it. Go to events. Take the when the sprite clicked event. To make the sprite disappear, go to looks and take the hide instruction. Shall we test till here? So I click on the first apple and the apple disappears. Hooray! Next, we need to make the apple appear again when we click on the reset button. Let us create the reset sprite. Choose a sprite, select a button, place it at any place that you desire. I'm going to place it here. We need to call it reset. So click on the button, go to the costumes tab, use the text tool, call it reset. And change the color, use the arrow mark and drag it to the center of the button. Now when this button is pressed, we have to show the apple. So click on the button, go to events. When this sprite is clicked, make the apple appear again. To make the apple appear, we have to tell the apple that the reset button has been clicked. So I'm going to events again and selecting the broadcast event. New message. The message is going to be reset pressed. Okay. Now on my first apple, when it receives the message reset pressed, I'm going to make it appear again. Go to looks and take the show instruction. So let's make our first apple come back. Shall we test it? Click on the reset button and there, the first apple has come back. Next, we need to keep track of the number of apples that are being plucked. The number of apples being plucked at any time keeps changing. It can be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Since it is a changing value, we are going to create a variable to track the number of apples that are plucked. So go to variables and make a variable. Let's call this apples plucked. This is for all sprites. Click on OK. Now we have to increase the apples plucked whenever an apple is touched. So in the event when this sprite clicked, use the set instruction in the variable section. Set apples plucked. We have to increase the apples plucked variable by 1. So we have to set apples plucked to whatever is there in apples plucked already and add 1 to it. Go to operators, take the plus operator, set apples plucked to apples plucked plus 1. Shall we test till here? So I click on the first apple and my variable has increased by 1. When I click on reset, apples plucked should go back to 0. Let's do that. Click on the button. So when this sprite is clicked, we have to broadcast reset pressed and also reset the variable. To reset the variable, just use set apple plucked to 0 and place it here. Let's test till here. Click on reset and apples plucked become 0. I click on the first apple and apples plucked become 1. The same code that we wrote for the first apple needs to be written for the other apples as well. So just drag and drop your instructions for the other apples. If you find it boring to drag and drop the same instructions over and over again, we also have the option of copying instructions from one sprite to another. Let me show you how to do that. Now, my Apple 5 sprite only has code for the event when the sprite is clicked. I can copy the code for the event when I receive reset pressed by dragging this event and dropping it on the last apple. Now, when you click on the last apple, you will find both the events. When the sprite is clicked and when I receive reset pressed. Instead of using this instruction, set apples plucked to apples plucked plus 1, we can simply use the change apples plucked by 1 instruction as well. Both these instructions do the same thing. So let me just get rid of set apples plucked. The option is up to you. You can either use the set instruction or the change instruction. Let us test if our project is working fine. I click on this apple. 1, 2, notice that the apples plucked variable is changing. 3, 4 and 5. I click on reset When everything comes back, the value of apples plucked becomes 0. Go on, try out this project on your own.
I hope you had fun creating these projects using variables in Scratch. Go on, create your own variables and try out some cool projects of your own.